Being in your 20s, it's a very dark period in your life because you're confused about what you're doing. You've made a lot of mistakes. You can't see yourself getting to 30 yet. So it is kind of a tragic period, and there's a lot of anger in like 20-somethings, you know.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of like, you know, sort of like restarted your life and career in your 20s.
I did.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I got a late start because I was kind of in this hermit stage, like this stage of almost suspended animation where I was trying to break in as an artist and it just wasn't working. I was extremely depressed, and it took me till 25 to realize what I wanted to do with my life for real. Mm-hmm. It usually takes people, it doesn't take them that long, sometimes longer, you can never tell, but I restarted my life, basically, yeah.
Right. With Welcome to the Black Parade, which obviously people have heard, did you feel when that song was done that you had come up with something as special as I think a lot of us feel like it is as a song?
Well, that song really was about 4.5 years in the making.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you like work on it, put it aside, then come back to it?
I mean, it started as an original melody, and we loved the melody. It was going to be on our first indie record, and it just didn't come about in like the 2-week time we had to write that record.
It was like literally at the tail end of writing Bullets.
Yeah.
And it kind of sounded a lot like My Way.
Yes.
Originally. It had a very My Way
like
type
Sid
vibe.
Vicious' version.
Yeah, definitely Sid Vicious' version of My
It
Way.
sounds like our time capsule.
Yeah, a lot of
Just
ways.
waiting
Yeah.
there.
And then we tried to work on it again for 3 Cheers, and I remember it was like we had a bunch of other things that we really wanted to work on.
Right.
So it didn't come out then, and then for this record we were like, all right, we really should just sit down and finish the song because it might be something great.
Right.
Then it became Welcome to the Black Parade.
That song was really a triumph. It felt like a little bit of Bohemian Rhapsody mixed with a Ramones song. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it was, but it was a mini epic. It was like 3-something minutes. You know, we needed a song that was kind of like the keystone to unlock the mystery of the record. It needed to speak to you right away and kind of encapsulate what that record was about. And so, you know, adjustments were made, and it was a fight to get it finished, but that's why I think the song's so great. So when we finally all heard it mixed, I think we all knew right away that this is it.
A couple specific songs I want to ask you about. And while you guys generally aren't political, Mama is, as best I can tell, it's written from a soldier's point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty harsh anti-war kind of sentiment there. Yeah.
I guess that just comes when you're talking about like cultures or life and death, and you're talking about things that are relative. I think it's political in the sense that it's relative to life and death. It's relative to humanity. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to view that song as a political song. Mm-hmm. I also know Teenagers is another song that's viewed as a political song. I think it's just it's going to happen when you're dealing with subjects like this, and you deal with war. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to avoid it. So.
Right. And musically, where Mama came from, how did that evolve? I mean, this sort of like, whether it's, I don't know, polka or East European vibe to it?
It's definitely polka.
Yeah. It started, I think, in the arena in Chicago. And I had kind of, just the line was in my head, Mama, we all go to hell. And I thought it was from something else, like a Tom Waits song or a Nick Cave song. And so then I asked Ray to come, you know, hang out, and then he kind of, I said, well, I like hum something, like the guitar, and he then made it better and played it. And then we brought it to soundcheck, and I think immediately everybody
we just went with it.
Yeah. And then, of course, getting Liza Minnelli, what a coup. I mean, I know she was a favorite of your grandmother's, right?
Yeah.
And I heard that it was the legendary Liz Rosenberg, Madonna's publicist, who helped make this happen. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
It was. Rob Cavallo called her up. You know, I was in the booth, and, you know, there's that one part where we had discussed a woman forever, but then eventually I just did the woman's voice. And then I was like, no, it just seems like a cop-out. Like, you know, he goes, well, who do you want to get? I said, we should just get Liza Minnelli. You know, like, why not? Like, how are you going to beat that? Like, what are you going to come with, Barbra Streisand? Exactly. I think that's what I was talking about. Like, you can't come with anybody.
You mentioned Teenagers before, and I got to ask you about, I mean, not only is it one of my favorite tracks on the album, but because I know people are going to gravitate toward a lyric like, if you're troubled and hurt, what you got under your shirt will make them pay for the things they did, especially in the wake of the last month or so, and some of the stuff we've seen going on yet again.
Right.
Is there any hesitation at all about putting a lyric like that out there?
Yeah, it's
There was a hesitation about putting that song on the record.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
There was a couple lines on the record. That's to me the biggest one. That was the one line that I had sat and I went to the guys and I went to Cavallo and I said, is this irresponsible? I know there's a lot of people in rock bands that could give a about responsibility, but you have a responsibility, and it's not because a large part of our fan base just happens to be teenagers. You have a responsibility to everybody. But the thing is, that line is so dangerous, but yet it's so true that it had to be on there. You know, the teenagers are so engendered of violence, and they're so made to, they're like pit against each other in tribes. They are pumped full of drugs to calm them down. I mean, it's really amazing that anybody ever makes it out of high school, and it's getting worse. And it was direct commentary on the violence in high schools in the United States.
It's interesting that you guys have generally not ever caught any flack over, you know, being champions of the trench coat mafias of the world. You know?
Not in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah, in the UK, there's a conservative paper called the Daily Mail who they referred to us basically as a death cult that encouraged kids to self-harm. I mean, it was the most ignorant, ridiculous thing we'd ever read. But no, we haven't, and I'm really happy about that. I think it's because we're intelligent and we have something to say. We don't use, for example, like God or religion as a scapegoat in a lot of ways that bands will to sell records. You know, we have a lot of respect for everybody and what they believe in. If we didn't have respect for what people believed in, this band it would cease to make any sense.
I've heard a lot about how tough this record was to make, and some of the, you've talked about depression that sort of like permeated the recording process. Where do you think that came from? Was it having a record sort of dealing with issues related to death? Or?
I think that was one of the things. I think whether we like to admit it to ourselves or not, even though we do live in a bubble, there's stress, there's pressure, there was anxiety. Whether we try to be like too tough for it or be like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Right, you do care. Yeah.
You want people to say, oh wow, they really did something great, you know?
Right.
Did you feel like you were on the clock?
No, not so much on the. I think we were, what it was, on the edge, the edge of this, you know, like, could it be something great or could it just fall apart and people think we're crazy? You know?
That was the thing.
That's what it was.
We were like, where does the line end? Like, where does it end where we officially become crazy? Where are we ambitious and then stop being ambitious and just insane? Like, when does that happen? And it always felt like it was right around the corner. Like, any day now we're going to be insane. This record's going to be like 2 years late. Dudes are going to grow beards. It's never going to come out. Like, stuff like that. Always felt like it was looming over you. So it then forced us, and me as a lyricist, to look inside myself, and we didn't have any answers. I didn't have anything to say, and I was like, I had to find that.
What happened? One band member in particular had to sort of like leave and sort of put some distance between themselves and the band?
Mikey had gone through a difficult period, depression-wise.
It was probably the most difficult time in my life. I've always been like kind of the person that kind of keeps things bottled up and internalize things, and I never dealt with a lot of things, and making this record made like, it was like taking a piggy bank and throwing it on the ground, and it was just like, and then I just broke down and had to leave the house for a while. It was super, I don't know, scariest time in my life. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't know if I was going to be back in the band. I didn't know.
Was the future of the band in question at that point? Or?
Not necessarily, but it was at that moment that all like the confidence we had built up and all that kind of like going like, oh, whatever, man. Like, we don't care what people say. Like, that's where that stuff started to creep in. And then it's because we were, I think, at our most vulnerable because one of us couldn't be in that house anymore. And it started to, you started to see all your weaknesses, and then that's all you saw. And then it put us in a very paralyzed state. And so in that way, yeah, I'd say there was definitely moments, whether we like to believe it or not, where we questioned our very existence, you know.
I mean, I'm sorry.
No, go.
Definitely, like when that happened, we didn't want to play because we were missing a member. So, the band wasn't complete, and we just kind of walked around kind of aimlessly. It took a while for us to get back going, starting writing again because of that.
So what changed? What made things better for you?